Video is to demonstrate Project 2, titled Authentication featuring Web and Cloud Service. So, on an outline of this tutorial, we discussed what is authentication, why is it important, the importance of authentication, and how authentication works in different devices, mobile, IoT, and cloud. And we have implemented a two-factor authentication in our application. So, on a basic note, let's see what is authentication. Authentication is a technique, method, or process that is used to verify the user identity, to seek the privileges while logging in anything, to seek the privileges accessing to the important data or protected environment. Authentication is very important. Many data breaches can happen even if the user is verified while accessing. This is where authentication plays an important role in providing secure environment. Uh, there are three general recognized factors for authentication. That is something you know, something you have, and something you are. Something you know is basically PIN, password, or something you have is what important. That is the security token or physical keys or any ownership, or for the credit card it's like a PIN code. And for the something you are is basically scanning the ER characteristic, like scanning fingerprint, iris scan, facial scan. So depending on three factors, the authentication will be designed. So now let's see authentication in different devices. There are many numerous ways for specifically for each of the devices. Like for mobile, facial recognition, iris recognition, and fingerprint are mainly used. And mobile device can also be used as a part of a multi-factor authentication, like for sending OTP to the mobile device and confirming the OTP which is sent to the mobile device. So mobile device can also be played as a multi-factor authentication part, a subset of a multi-factor authentication. And it also has a different type of authentication techniques. Specifically now popularly biometric and iris recognition, speaker recognition, and GPS location based a technique is popularly used. And for the IoT based authentication, in order for the IoT, there are many dimensions to be considered while building an authentication for IoT. There is an embedded system where we have to authenticate each user each user when it is connecting, and its user identity is more important to be considered. And popular examples are using a message code or anything via channel, network channel, or physically towards a network channel. So below picture shows an IoT device called smartwatch, how it is being connected to the smartphone via network channel, via Bluetooth channel, how it is authenticated in order to connect to the network. And the authentication in PCs, the computer device are nowadays are being more securely maintained, and more authentication is required because all of the application is access towards is accessed from the computer. uh, to specifically mention, there are numerous techniques for authentication in the PCs, like normal authentication are mainly PIN, passcode, fingerprint, or graphical passcode, and all that. Even also the hard drive of the authentic also the hard drive of the computer is being strongly encrypted for the security purpose. Now let's see how authentication plays an important role in cloud service. So cloud is a generic platform where it is connected to numerous network. There are different type of techniques used particularly for each type of cloud. For IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, there are different type of techniques in order for these all this type of clouds. So mainly to mention the factors which is mainly important for considering the cloud authentication is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And also the available techniques are common techniques and most popularly used are single sign-on and public key infrastructure. Because public key infrastructure are being nowadays plays an important role in the distributed environment like mobile cloud computing for the wireless sensor network and all that. It is one of the most commonly used technique for all of the computing. And In our in our project, we have implemented a two-factor authentication. So let's see what is two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication adds an extra type of extra step of authentication to initial login procedure. There are a wide variety of ways to add two-factor authentication, like prompting zip code to enter for cards, OTP sent to mail, mobile, reconfirming to enter the secret key access key, like so. So in our project, we have implemented a two-factor authentication using Google Authenticator app. The Google Authenticator app is an app which needs to be installed in a mobile or in the PC, where it generates a QR code for the second level of authentication. And after scanning in the QR code, we will get a time-based OTP. So this generating time-based OTP works even if there is no internet connectivity. This is a special feature of that. So the next we shall see the future of authentication. There is uh, risk-based authentication. This is one of the popularly emerging techniques. Popularly emerging techniques you nowadays used. Risk-based authentication models the risk level whenever a user tries to log in. Whenever user tries to log in or registering. So as you can see, whenever a user logging into any specific application, all its IP address, time of login, geolocation, HTTP address, and device print, all of its character is stored in the database, and it models a risk system for this employee. So next time when he is logging in, it checks all of this is matching based on the history of his login, uh, and assigns a level of risk for authenticating this user. So the next level, when in the next time when user is logging in, it checks if all of this criteria is not matching. It tells it is a high risk authenticating this user. So if the risk level are being more and more, it adds on the authentication layer. So even if the medium risk pass, I mean, even if two or three criteria is not passed, the user is prompted to see add for the OTP generated or biometric and another layer of authentication. If the user is in higher risk of authentication, it is denied, or rather it is added an extra layer of authentication to be provided. So this is how risk-based authentication is being more popularly used nowadays. So in the next video, we shall see how we implemented our application using two-factor authentication, how we have implemented. Thank you so much.